Here's the before, and here is the after. Hey guys and gals, welcome to Garage Gear. I'm JB. Fall is back, and here are the tools, tips, and tricks I use to bring my lawn back to life. First things first, timing is everything. There are two things you need to know before you even think about starting to overseed: cooler temperatures and rain to return. This time of year, I usually wait until I start to see 50s, 60s, and 70s regularly popping up in the weekly forecast. Along with that, waiting for rain to return is equally as important. You're gonna need the rain help for this, and once you have lower temps and the rainfall making a comeback, it's go time. And to help this video go with the YouTube algorithm, would you mind hitting that like button? Thank you very much. Now, my first step in the overseeding process is mowing low. I mow my lawn as low as I can comfortably go with it. Typically, I mow at about 2.5 inches. For this low mow, I typically mow at about 2 inches or less. I'm usually not mowing for about 2 weeks, give or take. So getting the lawn low allows new seedlings to immediately capture sunlight as soon as they sprout. And it buys me some time before the next mow for the new seedlings to anchor their roots. Now, once the lawn is mowed, it's time for grass seed. And usually I overseed immediately or within 24 hours of that low mow. And I don't throw down just any seed. I throw down the best of the best of the best. For my cool season lawn, I throw down Night Shift Elite grass seed. This was sent to me by my good friend Jesse over at Lawn Life here on YouTube. Thank you very much. And he's on top of all lawn trends. Jesse's trendier with lawn care than pumpkin spice lattes in October. And just to show you exactly how high of a level of quality you get with this grass seed, check this out. Inside we have roughly 30% Mazama Kentucky Bluegrass, another roughly 30% Moonlight SLT Kentucky Bluegrass, almost 20% Fireball Perennial Ryegrass, and almost another 20% Hat Trick Perennial Ryegrass. These are rated as some of the darkest grass cultivars by the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program. Pretty cool. And in my experience, the perennial ryegrass usually sprouts in about 5 to 10 days, while the Kentucky bluegrass usually pops up around the 21-day mark. And having a mix of Kentucky bluegrass and perennial ryegrass is better than just having a single monostrand. The two types of grass seeds complement each other's strengths and weaknesses for better disease protection and for a thicker, healthier lawn. Now, what I like seeing is this bottom information. 0% other crop seed. Inert matter, that's basically like shell casings from the seeds. And the big one, weed seeds, 0, baby. This is a clean, no-nonsense bag of grass seed. You're not paying for no janky special coatings here. Now, I began the overseeding process by fixing up any bare spots first, roughing up any bare spots with a hard metal rake. I seriously only spend about 30 seconds or less doing this in each spot, quickly roughing up an area and then throwing seed down heavily into those spots. Then I like to work those areas in by hand, helping to create better seed to soil contact. Then after a quick pat, I put some peat moss down on top. I usually layer this on at about 1/4 inch thick. This helps hold down moisture and create a blanket over that new seed. The cool thing about peat moss is it's relatively cheap, spreads pretty far, and when you get it wet, it turns dark brown or even black in color. So you know if it's light brown, it's definitely time to water. I find any and all bare spots in my lawn first and then patch them all up. After I addressed all the bare spots in my lawn, I went to town with my earthway spreader here, throwing down grass seed all across my lawn. And I threw grass seed down pretty heavy at a rate of about 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet. Now I do throw my edge guard on here on the bottom of the spreader around my gardens and walkways, but some still somehow manages to get in the gardens, but what are you gonna do? Other than that, you really can't screw up spreading grass seed across your lawn. I have fun with this, going up and down my lawn as many times as possible, covering every square inch of my turf. Now that the seed is down, it's time to give it a little push. I normally use organic fertilizers throughout the course of the lawn season, but this is the one time of the year where I throw down something synthetic like a starter fertilizer. Starter fertilizer is great for new seed, and it really does a great job fixing a lot of problems around your lawn. It has high amounts of nitrogen for increased top growth, but the most important number is the phosphorus, because that is going to help stimulate and push down roots deep down into the soil right before winter hits. You also get a strong boost of potassium for increased overall plant health. I use Scott's starter fertilizer here. I'm not sponsored by Scott's. I've used so many different starter fertilizers over the years, and I usually just grab the cheapest one. And I find that they all work just fine. I typically put this starter fertilizer down right on the same day that I seeded. But you could wait until about the 3-day mark when seeds usually start their germination process and then throw down the starter fertilizer. So that way the existing turf can't steal all the nutrients away from the new seeds that are starting to germinate. Kind of interesting, huh? I've done this many times with success. Either way, get some fert down and push that turf. Push it real good. I'll have some starter fertilizers linked down below in the description, and thank you very much for supporting the channel. This is also a great time to knock out any weeds. If you only have a few weeds, you can just pull them by hand, but if you have a lot, you can spray them with a hand can. I'll also have a video on how to make a cheap and effective weed killing spray linked down below as well. If you spray the weeds though, I would wait approximately 24 hours before you start watering, so that way the weed killer can get in and do its thing. And that leads me to the biggest step. Probably the most annoying part too, watering the lawn. Water, water, water. You're going to be doing this a lot. I water all my bare spots twice a day, just enough to get them wet. I do not soak them. And then I water the entire lawn at least once a day, if not every other day. It's kind of like bodybuilders. They take in all this protein, all these protein supplements and protein drinks, but they need water to work. Your lawn is the same exact way. Without water, that seed ain't growing. I like to water each zone of my lawn for approximately 20 minutes. Then move the sprinkler, 20 minutes in that zone, then move the sprinkler, 20 minutes in another zone, and I just keep doing that until the whole lawn has been watered. Now, some may be triggered by this, but at this point in the lawn season, in the fall, I really don't care about how many inches of water I've thrown down on the lawn. Some really scrutinize how much water they put down, but this time of year, I don't. I pretty much am watering daily, so my weekly watering totals are adding up. Now, if it rains, I don't water. I consider that a 24-hour vacay from watering. And there's just something so magical about rainwater in terms of helping things grow. Maybe it's because there's no chemicals in the water. Whatever it is, there's just something so beneficial about rainwater on the lawn. This season was very tough though in terms of rain because we only got approximately 2 rainstorms delivering about a ½ an inch of rain during the entire month of September. God, that was a lot of watering. So I was watering way too much, hence why I was so annoyed with all this. Now, I continued all my watering procedures for about 3 weeks. Even after I see germination, I don't quit. I keep watering to push that turf. I know it's tough, but it's gotta be done. Now take a look at this. Here's the before, and here is the after. Approximately 3 weeks later, and the lawn is looking great. You cannot deny these results. The lawn is thick, dark, and healthy. We've even gotten a few more showers, nothing major, but I'm still watering the bare spots that are still trying to come up. Now here are my lawn watering weapons. First up is my wave sprinkler by Melnor. I got this for $5 at a garage sale. It's made of aluminum and it has such a wide swath covering approximately half of my lawn. And when I hook this up to my 1-inch garden hose, this baby can blast it. I love these old school sprinklers. The spray pattern is just huge. Here's a tip though, get yourself one of these shut-off valves. This way, if you have to move the sprinkler, all you do is just shut it off, move your sprinkler, you don't gotta play the kinky hose game, and then you can just open it back up and you're good to go. Super handy to have these, and these are relatively inexpensive. And this is my Pattern Master sprinkler by Gilmore. Now this pivots left and right just like any other sprinkler like this style, but it has another cool feature where you can raise this platform underneath, and what that does is it ends up pointing the nozzle down. So if you have a narrow path to hit with your watering and you don't want to get it on the driveway or against the house, you can tip this up by pushing underneath to raise up this guide. It points the head down and you're only hitting your turf that way. Really smart design by Gilmore. Again, you're gonna want one of these shut-off valves to make moving this sprinkler around a lot more efficient. I'll have both of these sprinklers linked down below in the description. After about 2 weeks of religiously watering the lawn, I mowed my lawn twice now. The first mow back was a high mow, and I raised the height adjusters on the mower to about 3 inches. This is a bit higher than normal for me, but this allows the new seedlings to get at some sunlight and not be overshadowed by the existing turf. This is also a get on, get off kind of mow, so be brief, have your fun, and be done. I don't like trampling all that new turf, and then on the second mow, I lowered the mower back down to my normal mowing height of about 2.5 inches. Some people got no respect for all the hard work that goes into a lawn, and they let their dog do this and leave it. Wonderful. Things are looking great now. I'm really happy how things turned out. Even after all those hot days, drought-like conditions, I was still able to get grass seed to grow. I was able to thicken up the lawn and get my yard back in business. Let's take a quick walk around the yard and see how we did. So over here, this is where the domination just dials in. You can see my neighbor's lawn is starting to green up and is still a little on the light side, but over here, once you cross that sidewalk line, bam, baby, that's dark. Now this is, generally speaking, an area that browns out first usually in like late June, maybe early July. And then this is one of the first areas to green right up. So I'm really happy how this turned out. Everything's thicker, greener. The parkway's over here, this all healed up nice. Even over here in this corner, this was pretty beaten up, and in this spot right here, you can see it's slowly filling in, but it's there. This was a big hole here before because we had some tree branches that we had picked up, and they used one of those claw mechanisms and they really roughed up the lawn on accident. Well, I had to fix it, and it's coming back. Over here in this whole patch, things are looking nice. This whole edge here really cleaned itself up. And take a look at this. This is the main stage, and this really filled in. This is a lot thicker now. This is some heavy duty turf here. I'll tell you what, that Night Shift Elite Dark Grass Seed comes up nice. It was a fight to keep this going all summer long with so little rain. From this angle, looking great. And this side lot behind me, this is always my thickest turf. And this is how you know how bad of a drought we were in this summer. This area was starting to brown out. And when that starts to happen, we are in some very dry times. It's amazing what some grass seed and a little bit of fertilizer and a lot of watering will do over the course of 2 weeks. This thickened up big time. Now it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Here's what grinds my gears with this overseeding process. I always seem to get some areas that just don't fill in. This is pretty small in comparison to what it used to be, but Mother Nature's gonna have its way, and you're just not gonna have some spots that always come up. And part of the reason is probably because the ground was so dry and then very little rain coming down, and probably because it's right under a tree. This tree behind me was probably absorbing a lot of the moisture that I was throwing down. Now over here, this area was very brown. Again, probably because these evergreens here were probably sucking up all the moisture, leaving very little to the turf. And we still have a few brown spots, not bad, easily fixable in the spring. Now this area here, all along my curb, this is always a tough spot to get the grass seed to grow. I'm pretty sure that the soil depth here is pretty slim and that there's probably a high level layer of rock underneath this soil, because no matter how much grass seed I throw down, this just barely hangs on through the season, and then it's gone in the summer, and then I always end up reseeding every fall. At this point here, I'm just gonna let it be, because all the snow plows, they just dump all their snow and salt right here anyways. So I'm just gonna let it be. I'll fix it again in the spring. And then this spot right here, this is probably the one that aggravates me the most. I'm pretty sure that somebody's walking their dog every day over here, and the dog just does their business right here every single day. That must be the case, because this spot was just so burnt out. There was actually a trail right here, and the grass was just completely burnt out. So I seeded it. Most of this came in, which is great over here, but I still have these 2 holes to contend with. Some seed is starting to make its way up, which is great, but I have a feeling I'm gonna be fixing that again come the spring. It just annoys me because that's like the main corner here to the whole rest of the lawn. Maybe I should pressure wash a sign right here into the concrete that says, "Don't let your dog pee here anymore." Now at this point, it's kind of late in the season to be putting more seed down, because we have colder nights coming, winter's right around the corner, frost is already appearing on the cars in the morning, so we're done. We're checked out. We can no longer seed at this point in the fall. I could maybe try perennial ryegrass seed, but even that's gonna be cutting it close. Again, not a tough one to fix. I'll just throw some seed down in the spring. Back here, everything's looking great. And those grasses over there are looking huge. Check these things out. These are taking up about half of my path here. That is wild. Now here are some commonly asked questions that come up with overseeding in the fall. Shouldn't you aerate your lawn? You definitely can. And early fall is a great time to aerate. I chose not to aerate this fall because I wanted to show just how effective overseeding the lawn can be. Typically I do aerate in the fall or throw down some compost, which is a natural soil aerator. Super beneficial for the lawn too. I've done some videos on lawn aeration and compost. All of those linked down below as well. Now many ask, when is the best time to overseed a cool season lawn? Early fall, no question about it. But this can vary by your area. I typically start my project with this right around Labor Day. And there's a lot of labor involved. Should you overseed every year? I do. Almost every spring I usually end up throwing some seed down because buffalo winters can be pretty rough and long lasting. And summers can get pretty hot and dry some years. Case in point this year. So I buy seed almost every year. There always seems to be some small areas in the lawn that just need some help. Now, many people have asked, should I dethatch the lawn before overseeding? And my response is always, only if you have a thatch problem. If you don't have a thatch problem, don't bother dethatching. If you can push your turf aside, look down, and see soil, you don't have any thatch. Here's how you know you have a thatch problem. Let's say it rains, and 2 to 3 days later, you go walking on your lawn, and it feels like a sponge. And every step you take, it's like that. Then you probably have a thatch problem. You can also get a soil plug tester to see if you have a thatch problem as well. I see so many guys in the neighborhood dethatching their lawn, and when I walk by and look closely at their lawn, I don't see any thatch. It's just a really good way to make lots of bags of garbage and lose an entire weekend raking up a wild mess. So, should you dethatch your lawn? Only if you have a thatch problem. Now, how late in the fall can you overseed? This can vary by your area, but if you see frost warnings in the forecast or rapid temperature drops, your time's probably up. If anything, you probably only have a week or two, and that's not gonna be enough time. Early fall is gonna be the best time because seed germination rates vary. And even after they germinate, they still need time to harden off before winter strikes. So I would say if you're into mid-October or later, it's probably getting too late. So as the season winds down, what's next for the lawn? I'm gonna continue with my normal mowing practices, and then I'm gonna throw down about 2 more doses of light amounts of organic fertilizer. Purely organic lawn food is usually my go-to. And I'm throwing this down at a half rate because what's coming down this time of year? Leaves. Leaves are the best organic material, and I always mulch and mow them right up. I hardly ever push leaves to the street anymore. I may or may not get leaves from my neighbor's yard too. It's free fertilizer, and it helps feed the soil. Think about it. Trees are actually the world's best miners. They dig their roots so far deep down and then pull all those nutrients to the top of their trees and create their leaves. At the end of the season, all those leaves fall to help regenerate the soil. But what do we end up doing? We end up pushing all those leaves to the curb so the town can come pick them up, effectively washing away all those nutrients. I'm not gonna throw them away. I'm gonna use that free fertilizer. And even though we had a very dry summer, my lawn held up better, far better than many of my neighbors did. And why? Because I'm putting all those nutrients back into the soil, especially this time of the year. Leaves are the best organic material for the lawn, and I'm just pumping them right back in. If you want to be part of the tribe, subscribe, and for more cool garage gear content, click or tap the screen right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the garage.